What's up, Internet? Welcome. And today we're going to work on the rear brake master cylinder and caliper on the shroud behind us here. I know I'm not my usual pretty self. It's been a hell of a week, man. I've just been busy between work and chores and the channel. It's been a rough week. I need a haircut. I need to shave. I need to lose about 20 pounds. But here we are. In the previous video, we disassembled, cleaned, and reassembled our front brake calipers, installed our new orange core motor brake lines. In the video before that, we rebuilt the front brake master cylinder. Now you might be asking, where did the master cylinder go? Well, where the master cylinder is, it's off the bike, obviously, and that brings me to the tip that I want to share with you guys. If you are bringing back to life a 20 to 30-ish year old motorcycle, let's just say, you're gonna want to listen to this story. I'll make it short. Let's go over here. All right, here's our master cylinder and reservoir. Here's the original piston and some of the parts that came with the all balls. I did not make that name up. There's a sticker. Those are the rebuild kits that I got for the front and the rear. And I hope I don't have this problem with the rear, but let me continue. So, the spring, this seal, and theoretically, this seal came with the all balls kit. This is the original piston that came out of the master brake cylinder. And the seals were slightly smaller than the seals that came out of the brake cylinder. And so I thought, that's really odd. This doesn't feel right. So I went back to motorsport.com, which is where I ordered the parts, and I made sure that I had the right machine profile selected, my 97 Suzuki GSXR 600. And sure enough, the all balls rebuild kit that I ordered was for my bike. So then it's like, well, why are the seals a different size? I don't know. At the time, I was like, you know what? I've been waiting for this. Let's just throw this together, see what happens. And so I did. Couldn't build any reasonable amount of brake pressure. Didn't have any leaks. I had brake fluid at the bleeder valves in both calipers. I just couldn't build any pressure. So I thought it's got to be this rebuild kit. Maybe the aftermarket rebuild kit just came with the wrong parts. I don't know. I'm grasping for straws here. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna order OEM replacements if I can get them still. Here is the OEM piston cup set, which basically comes with everything that was in the all balls rebuild kit, plus a new piston. And to top it off, this seal came pre-installed on the piston. I thought, this is awesome. Woohoo! And then of course I've got the new spring, this seal, and it came with a new circlip. The all balls kit didn't come with the new circlip. This is the original circlip. It did come with new copper washers for the banjo bolt, which is nice. This O-ring sits underneath here and came separately. It did not come as part of the piston cup set. So let me just put this over here for now. I looked at this and I thought, shiny new piston, seals already installed, one less thing I gotta do. This is good. But then I started to look at the pistons and I noticed they're different sizes. I don't know how well it's gonna come up on the camera. The camera's kind of casting a shadow, but I guarantee you these are absolutely different sizes. And this piston, it doesn't even seal. It literally just drops right into the master cylinder. Doesn't seal at all. And this kind of also confirmed, because I double checked this part number to make sure it is the correct part for my year, make, and model, and it is. So then it's like, why is everything a different size than what actually came off the motorcycle? None of this is making sense. So then I thought, let me go down to the dealer and just beg for help, because at this point I'm desperate. We're getting close to the tip, I promise. So I go down to the dealer I share this story with them, and they look up the OEM part number. They come up with the same part number that I ordered. So there's no sense in ordering that because I'm just going to get the same thing again, which isn't going to work. So I started talking to them, and I'm like, man, you know, what could be the problem? And the guy on working the service counter, he's like, you know what? I remember a recall. Suzuki had a recall. He wasn't sure of the year, but there was a big recall on brake master cylinders. And he thought, you know what? That recall might have changed the size of the master cylinder, like the bore. And anything that you would order past that recall, as far as like brake cylinder parts, would be for the newer cylinder that was repaired or replaced with the recall. So I thought, man, this might work out. So I gave them my VIN number. They looked it up. Unfortunately, they didn't find a recall for my year, make, and model for the brake master cylinder. However, they did find a recall for the fuel pump gasket, which all of a sudden made sense because when I ordered the fuel pump gasket, and this was, I don't know, 4 or 5 videos ago, I rebuilt the fuel pump. When I ordered a new gasket, the gasket that came was completely different than the gasket that came off the motorcycle. And at the time, I had no idea why. Now that I've gone through this master cylinder rebuild, and I've gone through the VIN code thing and the recalls, it all kind of makes sense. So at some point, Suzuki did a recall for the gasket for the fuel pump. And the new gasket that I ordered is what was part of the recall. And at the time I had no idea, but it fit, and it obviously it works. It's on the bike. I've ran the engine multiple times now since then. There's no leaks, so that's all good. The tip is, had I known about VINs and recalls, or at least thought about it, I could have got that fuel pump gasket for free. So that's the tip. If you're bringing back to life a 20, 30-year-old motorcycle, go to your local dealer, give them the VIN, flush out any potential recalls that might be open on that particular motorcycle, because you're going to get free parts. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me with the master brake cylinder, so long story short, I can't get parts for that cylinder. It is what it is. So we just ordered a whole new brake cylinder, and why not just upgrade it? We went with a radial. I'm not going to go into the difference between the standard and the radials. If you know, you know. If you don't know, stay tuned to the channel. When I get the new master brake cylinder in, I will show you what the difference is between the standard OEM one that came off the motorcycle and the upgraded radial version that I have ordered. So stick around for that. All right, that's my tip. Let's get to this rear caliper. Let's tear this thing apart. It's going to be nasty, just like the front. Let's do it. So the caliper's ready to come off. We loosened up, well, first thing we did was we cut off the safety wire, and then we loosened the mounting bolts. While the caliper is still mounted in place, we loosened the 2 bolts that keep both sides together, and then struggled a little bit with the linkage underneath the swing arm that runs from the front of the swing arm back to the caliper. There's a bolt that comes through from the other side, and then a nut on the outer side, or the outward facing side. Those were on pretty tight, and it, ideally it would have been nice to have another set of hands and a socket and a long extension to hold the bolt still while we were loosening the nut. But what I ended up doing was putting a wrench on it, turning the whole assembly until the wrench hit against the wheel, and then the wheel held the wrench in place, and I was able to bust it loose and came off pretty easy after that. So little tip. All right, we're ready to take off the caliper off the bike. So all right, we got the caliper off the bike, and it's looking pretty dirty. So before we even pop this top cover off, I mean, there's dirt falling off of it like I was at the motocross track. It's weird. I'm surprised how dirty this thing is. This isn't like brake dust. It's just dirt. Anyway, weird. Before we even pop this cover off right here and pull the pads out and then separate it, I'm just going to dump it into the bucket of hot soapy water. Look at this. Do you see this? That's just clumps of dirt. All right, so let's go clean this thing. Okay, I'll be right back. Another quick tip for you guys. So here's the piston out of the outward facing half of the caliper, and I had to use my compressor to get these out because my little trick with these circlip pliers doesn't work too well, because the inside diameter of the rear caliper pistons is a little bit larger than the fronts. I've got the regulator on my air compressor set at about 20 psi, pretty low. To be honest, the way these came out, I think I probably could have did it at 15 psi, but 10 to 15 psi is where I would start, and then increase pressure as needed. All right, let me show you guys how I did this. So for the compressor, I just have a air nozzle, and I had to put the bleeder screw back in, and then these two holes, this one hole, thought there were two. On the front there are two, but on the rear I guess it's just the one. So put the bleeder valve back in, and then I just held this face down so that the air had no place to escape. And then I just shoved the, well, you probably can't see, so let me show it like this. I just shoved the air hole, I can't talk. I shoved the air nozzle from the compressor in where the banjo bolt mounts, holding this down flat so the air can't escape. And now I'm spitting on myself, excuse me. Holding this side down flat so the air can't escape through here, bleeder valves back in, so the air has no place to go other than to push the piston out. That worked pretty easily. Like I said, at 20 psi, it popped out quite nice. I could probably do it at 15 psi. Same thing, you can kind of see fluids leaking out everywhere. You can kind of see this piston's almost all the way out. You can see that clean part of the piston that was obviously recessed inside the caliper. Same kind of deal, except on the inside of the half of the caliper, I leave the bleeder valve out, and I actually use that to force the air in, holding this side down flat so the air doesn't have anywhere to go. And I might need more PSI. Doesn't look like it's coming out anymore. I've used all the available air. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go turn the compressor back on. Get a little bit more pressure. What are we at? Well, it says we're still at 20. All right, we're up to like 42. We're just over 40 PSI on the regulator gauge. Oh, there it is, popped out. So there you go. The inside half took 40 PSI to get the piston out. But man, that works like a charm. I should have used that on the front. That would have been a lot easier, man. I had to work hard to get the fronts out. Next thing we're going to do is use our bucket of hot soapy water lots of brake fluid, plus a, where'd it go? It's on the floor by the bucket, toothbrush. Clean these guys up really good, replace the dust seals and the piston seals, slap it all back together. Get the caliper at least back on the bike, and then we'll work on the master cylinder. All right, we're done cleaning. Let's take a look at these calipers, see how they came out. Overall, I am pretty happy. Let's turn this guy over. Little bit of, not dirt, but residue inside this guy, but I'm good with it. I'm good with where this is at. We're gonna slap them back together. Again, happy with how the inside of the half came out. This one's super clean inside. Very happy. Pistons came out looking pretty good. We've got our new dust seals, new oil seals, new bleeders, and this is also a seal that goes right there. Here is the finished product. So it actually, if you imagine you're looking at the rear wheel, this is the rear, no, take that back. Yeah, this is the front of the bike over here, rear of the bike over here. This is how basically it hangs. And we've got our new, well, you can't see that one because it's behind this. We've got our new bleeder valve. Turn it around. This would be the side that's facing the wheel. New bleeder valve there. You know, I didn't realize this thing had 2 bleeder valves. I'm glad I checked. Turn it around. There it is. Look how clean it came out, man. I think I'm happier with the rear, at least in terms of aesthetics and how clean it came out, than the front. Look at those shiny new pistons. Oh, sorry, not new pistons, just cleaned up pistons. New seals, dust seals and oil seals. Yeah, you might be asking yourself why that's all scratched up. We'll explain that in the next video when we do the master cylinder. So I'm not gonna put this back on the bike just yet because the rear of the bike is quite nasty and dirty, kind of like the front was. So we're gonna wheel it outside off camera, clean the rear of the bike really, really good. Probably take the wheel off to do that just because I think it's easier to clean the wheel and get it really detailed with it off the motorcycle. So we'll do that. Then we'll put this freshly rebuilt, cleaned caliper back on the bike, get the core motor line on, and then we'll attack the master cylinder, the rear master cylinder, in the next video. And hopefully by then, we'll have our new radial front master cylinder, and may God be with us, we'll have working front and rear brakes. My original plan was to just do the first ride with the bike with just front brakes and accept the fact that I don't have rear brakes, but then we had the master cylinder issues I explained in the beginning of the video. So it's like, why wait for the master cylinder? Let's go ahead and attack the rear brakes now. By the time the master cylinder, the front master cylinder comes in, hopefully these rear brakes will be functional. We'll have full brakes front and rear. We can go on a less sketchy first ride after years, many years. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Greatly appreciate it. And I already explained what the next video is going to be. I'm smoked. It's hot in the garage. It's like 90 degrees today, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It's hot. It's hot. I like it when it's hot. I like being outside when it's hot, like riding in the heat. I don't know that I like working in my garage in the heat. Not so much. I think that's about it, man. We're getting close. These brakes have been a pain in the butt. Taking weeks longer than I originally thought, getting the right parts, waiting for stuff. Anyway, I'm starting to sweat, so I'm gonna call this a video. Keep the rubber side down, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Oh, God, it's so hot. Bye. See ya.